So meeting of October 12th and ask for a roll call.
Jacobson?
Here.
Fanouken?
Here.
Markort?
Here.
Snow?
Here.
Noriko?
Here.
Baker?
Here.
O'Leary? Ray?
Here,
7 present.
thank you. Let me ask Officer Sullivan to come forward and lead us in the pledge. Please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would acknowledge this evening, Monica Leary is not expected to attend this evening's meeting. I do have communication from Monica I'd like to read at this point. October 10th, 2015. I, Monica O'Leary, will resign my position as Alderman of the 7th Ward effective Friday, October 16th, 2015. I have enjoyed the time spent on the City Council of DeKalb, Illinois. Regretfully, I am resigning my position, and it has nothing to do with anyone from the City of DeKalb. My life has gone in a different direction. Had I known this before I was reelected, I wouldn't have run. I wish nothing but good things for the City of DeKalb, and that the current alderman will continue to work hard for the City of DeKalb. We do have copies of the communication available for the press this evening, and we will be posting the letter of resignation on the city website. I would ask Attorney Frieders to discuss the research that has gone into the appointment of an alderman to represent Ward 7 until the consolidated election of April 2017. Dean?
Thank you, Mayor. We have looked at this issue in detail. We have also reached out to the county clerk who serves as the election authority and also the Illinois State Board of Elections. It is a somewhat lengthy explanation, but I think the whole explanation is important to understand the record here. In the ordinary circumstance, a municipality such as the City of DeKalb would follow the provisions of 65 ILCS 5/3.1-10-50. That's the process wherein there'd be a temporary appointment by the mayor. There would be a special election. In this case, with the amount of time we have between now and the 2017 election, there'd be a special election in 2017. That would be an election to a 2-year term for this seat. And then in 2019, there'd be another election going back to a 4-year term for the 7th Ward Alderman. The City of DeKalb has a unique provision in the City Code, Section 2.03. That section was adopted in 1977 by referendum, and we have gone back and reconstructed that history, and that's what we're here to talk about this evening. In 1970, the Illinois Constitution of 1970 was adopted. That Constitution indicates that a home rule municipality has a unique ability to pass a binding referendum through a public referendum process and alter the fashion in which it elects its officers. It appears as though the city did just that in 1977 based on the results that we have. And that referendum indicates it effectuated the current provisions of Section 2.03 of City Code. Those current provisions indicate that under the current circumstances, because there's more than 18 months left in Alderman O'Leary's term, that the council would call for a special election to be conducted. It doesn't indicate that there'd be an appointment until that special election occurs. It just indicates a special election would be conducted. In talking with the State Board of Elections and in reconstructing some Illinois history, in the 1970s when that was passed, municipalities conducted their own elections. So the referendum question, for example, that referendum was conducted by the City of DeKalb. The city counted the ballots. The City Council passed a resolution or ordinance that said, here's the results of that referendum, and then they passed an ordinance effectuating it. In 1980, the Illinois Election Code was completely revised, as was the Municipal Code. And the process for conducting a municipality-specific special election was also eliminated. It is no longer the case, obviously, that municipalities themselves conduct elections. They're conducted at the county level. The Illinois Election Code and the Illinois Constitution both indicate that elections are now consistent statewide. DeKalb is not the only community that has had this issue arise. We have a memorandum that we'll provide copies to the council and the media regarding. In 1982, the same issue affected the city of Chicago, which had similarly passed a home rule resolution based on a referendum, changing the way they selected officers. And the Illinois Supreme Court went through in great detail in reviewing that case and said the whole purpose of the change in the election code was to eliminate the prospect of single municipality special elections, that it's unreasonable to expect the electorate to go out to the polls and understand what's going on unless they have regular uniform election dates. So that's what the process that the state works on now. In going through that analysis, the 1977 referendum, while well-intentioned and effective at that point in time, it was rendered unconstitutional by the changes in law that occurred in 1980. So where we're at today, we have a section of city code, section 2.03, that we believe to be unenforceable, that the county believes to be unenforceable, that the State Board of Elections to be unenforceable and unconstitutional. So prospectively, we would recommend that the City Council review and amend that code to comply with state statute. We believe the city should follow the provisions of the municipal code, which would, again, would provide for a temporary appointment, and that appointment would be from now until the regular municipal election held in 2017. I should also note the city did have a similar vacancy, almost exact same chronology that occurred in 1995. Let me look at my notes here. In 1995, Donald Roth Jr. was elected to a 4-year term of office for First Ward Alderman. He resigned after serving for 3 months. That left a vacancy of 3 years and 9 months. So if you look at section 2.03 of city code, what that indicates is the city should have called a special election. Again, at that time, it was unconstitutional as well. They did not call a special election. They had an appointment of Amy Polzin, who served as First Ward Alderman from that point in 1995 until 1997. And in the 1997 elections, there was a special election to a 2-year term for First Ward. Amy Polzin ran and was elected for that 2-year term. And then in 1999, there was an election going back to the 4-year term, and someone was elected to fill that 4-year vacancy. So what we're telling you tonight is that the current section 2.03 can't be followed in the fashion that it's drafted. And again, that's the uniform opinion of the city, the State Board of Elections, and the county, that the past practice of the city has been to not follow that section of the city code, and that the state statute does outline the process that is available to utilize to fill Alderman O'Leary's vacancy.
Okay. Thank you, Dean. And within the research and advice that City Attorney Frieders has presented this evening, I do anticipate bringing forward an appointment of alderman to represent Ward 7 until the consolidated election of April 2017. I would give priority to inclusiveness of council makeup in that recommendation of an appointment. I ask people to reach out to me with a letter of interest, as well as a brief resume of employment, education, volunteer experience, residence in DeKalb, specifically Ward 7. I will review those persons with interest with a brief meeting with individuals to discuss ward, city governance, and municipal operations. My goal is to reach closure with a recommended appointment, possibly by Thanksgiving. We'll have council meetings, regular council meetings are scheduled October 26th, November 9th, November 23rd. I expect a wide interest of those willing in service to the community to express their desire with a letter of interest and a brief resume. Thank you, Dean, for that background as well. Alderman Baker.
I have to confess that many people have asked me where the 7th Ward is. Devoner Farms used to be the 6th Ward. That's part of the 7th Ward, but
7th Ward consists, Devonair Farms is on the south. Lauren Drive, west of Annie Glidden, is the next neighborhood north, and Hillcrest, west of Annie Glidden, is that third neighborhood. So it runs from Devonair Farms up to that Hillcrest West, Spiros, Regent Drive, Varsity Boulevard. the west side of Annie Glidden.
So nothing east of Annie Glidden anymore?
Correct.
And then what about Echo Park and the dormitories
I
and Varsity?
don't believe those
Square
are in
apartments.
7. I think those are 6. Or I'd have to, the city website has a ward map, GIS ward map. So I'd encourage individuals interested in Ward 7 demographics to look on the city website.
That concludes all the questions I had, because that is something I didn't even realize you could go to the city website to find. So I
Yep.
think anyone thinking they might be in the 7th Ward, take a look.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave. In terms of attendance this evening, I'd also like to note there was a question raised after the September 28th meeting of the city manager's absence at that time. I want to acknowledge she was attending the ICMA conference at that time. Tonight, her absence is due to her being under the weather. Fortunately, our competent assistant city manager, Patty Hoppenstedt, is in her stead, having been in our pre-meeting conversation this afternoon. So I did want to acknowledge why Patty is sitting in the city manager's seat this evening. Moving to approval of agenda, are there additions or deletions? Hearing none, I accept a motion to approve the agenda before us. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Markwart, seconded by Alderman Noreko. Discussion. I'll ask for a roll call then.
Jacobson?
Yes.
Fanouken?
Yes.
Markwart?
Yes.
Snow?
Yes.
Noriko?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes,
7 yes.
thank you. We have no public hearings. Moving to special items. Proudly DeKalb, we have 2 items this evening. The Barb City Bagels first anniversary. Tim Hayes is with us this evening. Tim, would you like the podium for a few words?
Thank you very much for the time here with the City Council. My name is Tim Hayes, and my wife and I own Barb City Bagels. In a few weeks, we'll celebrate our 1-year anniversary. And when we bought Chesapeake Bagel Bakery, we chose to change the name to Barb City Bagels because we wanted it to connect with the community better. And my wife and I really have a desire to be a part of the community, to help the community, and to work with other businesses in the community. And so that was important to us. Our bagel shop offers 22 distinct bagel flavors, all baked fresh every morning. We start at 4 o'clock in the morning if you're interested. And we also serve 14 hand-blended cream cheese flavors, breakfast and lunch sandwiches, and we're open 6:30 to 2:30 on weekdays and 7 to 2 on weekends. I want to take this time to thank some members of the council, members of the Chamber of Commerce, and other local business owners for really coming alongside of us and helping us. A lot of you frequent the bagel shop, and we appreciate your business. And we have had a lot of local businesses come alongside us, and when they found out we were new to owning a business, kind of took us under their wing and helped us out. And so we are very appreciative as newcomers to the business area here in DeKalb for that support and help. It's been a fantastic experience, and we look forward to many years here in the community, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. And thank you for continued investment in the DeKalb community, Tim. The next item is the FY 2016 budget document. I'll turn to Director Cathy Haley for that presentation.
Thank you. So in front of you, we provided you a copy with the FY 2016 adopted budget. You'll see it's actually a bound copy for you to keep, or you can give it back. It is also available on our website as an electronic form. But it's really, I think, unique in looking back at the past at least 10 to 15 years. I haven't seen it bound and put in a manner that's just, it's at your fingertips, it's easily readable. It's also a document that, for this fiscal year, the city has decided to utilize the Government Finance Officers Association model for budgeting in order to pursue this Distinguished Budget Award. We're following this model not only to follow best practices in financial presentation, but also it results in a superior document that is clearer, easier to understand, and much more comprehensive than previous budgets the city has adopted and presented. The GFOA established this Distinguished Budget Presentation Award program in 1984 to encourage and assist state and local governments to prepare budget documents of the very highest quality that reflect both the guidelines established by the National Advisory Council on State and Local Budgeting and the GFOA's best practices on budgeting, and then to recognize individual governments that succeed in achieving that goal. Documents submitted to the budget award programs are reviewed by selected members of the GFOA professional staff and by outside reviewers with experience in the public sector for budgeting. The city had 90 days following the adoption of the budget to submit it to GFOA for review, which I believe we did with a few hours to spare. The submitted document gets reviewed by 3 reviewers. Each reviewer rates a given budget document as being either not proficient, proficient, or outstanding in regard to 27 specific criteria grouped into 4 categories. The reviewer also provides an overall rating for each of the basic categories. To receive the award, a budget document must be rated either proficient or outstanding by at least 2 of the 3 reviewers for all 4 basic categories, as well as for 14 of the 27 specific criteria identified as mandatory. Some of these criteria are 1 to 2 pages of detailed information that they're looking for, and there's 27 of them. It's a very detailed process. It's a very long narrative, and I would like to thank Lauren Stott, I don't see her, and Jared Hine for doing a lot of research on what other information we needed to submit to provide. We did submit this electronically. Again, you all have gotten hard copies. We didn't print many to save costs. We printed them in-house to also save on costs. So if you don't want to keep the hard copy, by all means, feel free to give it back. But I think it's a wonderful document. I'll keep it at my fingertips and use it regularly. So, and that's all I have.
Cathy, I'd like to publicly thank the finance staff for preparation of this document and the time and effort that has gone into its preparation. The indexing is very helpful to make sense of the document at a glance. So
Great.
Thank you very much for that effort.
Thank you.
We have 2 individuals wishing to speak before council this evening. I'll call on Barry Schrader.
Handout that goes off my presentation. It's more detailed than I. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Barry Schrader, 511 Roberts Lane, DeKalb, Illinois. I'm the co-chair of the DeKalb County Citizens for Better Mental Health Care. My co-chair, Eileen Dubin, is also here this evening. As you know, there was a public hearing held by the the Illinois Health Facilities and Services Review Board on September 24th, right in this chambers. We learned at that public hearing something that's very alarming, that Northwestern Memorial, which is taking over the ownership of the Kishwaukee Health System, intends to move all the mental health cases that require hospitalization to their central DuPage County Hospital in the Chicago suburb of Winfield, which is an hour away from most of DeKalb. This is even further from DeKalb County than where the patients are being taken today out of county by ambulance to different hospitals nearby, because they no longer, as you know, have a behavioral health unit at Kishwaukee. Moving people outside the county creates several problems and only exacerbates the patient's condition that has caused the crisis in the first place. Patients are taken to a far-off hospital, removed from care by their attending physician or their psychiatrist. No local therapists, local clergy, and family members have access to them in an easy or short distance. So the patient is isolated from his or her support network. This is not conducive to their recovery and sometimes even prolongs their hospitalization. It may mean more income for the Northwestern affiliated hospital in DuPage County, but is not a healthy solution or positive outcome for the patients and their families from DeKalb County. So we're asking the DeKalb City Council several other agencies to write letters of concern that this is unacceptable. It's not taking a position whether you're going to favor the merger, the acquisition or not. That's a separate issue, but the concern they have in the specific point. The inpatient care has been gone from DeKalb County for 6 years now, and I'm working with the police department, sheriff's department, and the county coroner right now to get statistics on how many more suicides have occurred since that's happened in DeKalb County. That has some correlation. Letters have to be in, unfortunately, by October 28th, which is the day after, actually the morning of. In Springfield, it cannot be faxed, they cannot be emailed, they have to be signed and delivered. So you would only have one day after your next council meeting to do that. So I would either ask that the mayor consider writing a letter of concern about this, or that the city council take action at their next meeting, the 26th, with an immediate delivery by courier to meet the deadline of the state review board, which has to have all comments in by that time. That's all I had to give to you, but if you have any questions, certainly be glad to answer that. It's something that's been simmering for 6 years, and we thought things might get better when a newer hospital organization, a bigger group, came in to take over the hospital. They'd provide more services here, but instead of that, they're taking them further away.
Okay. Thank you, Barry. Moving to Eileen Dubin, wishing to speak.
Hi, my name is Eileen Dubin, and this is a topic I have been interested in for many years. I have sat on the DeKalb County board for 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, and served on a Health and Human Services Committee over a number of years. And after leaving the council, was a member of the 708 Mental Health Board for 4 years. It is something that I think we should all be concerned about, because every day that you turn on your TV, you're finding something else happening in some community, and a lot of it really deals with mental health. So we hope that that the council can support writing this letter, and hopefully we can move so that the community has the best mental health services that are possible for this community, because not everything needs to necessarily be for-profit. And there are some issues that need to be taken care of, because it's going to make for a better community for all of us. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Eileen. I plan to take the issue under advisement, and will give consideration to it and respond after that period of consideration. Moving to our next item, the consent agenda. We have in front of us a consent agenda. Is anyone wishing to remove an item from that consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll ask for approval of the items on the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Snow. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Noriko. Roll call.
Fanouken,
Yes.
Markwart,
Yes.
Snow,
Yes.
Noriko,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. I'll ask for a motion then to approve the item as presented on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Snow. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded Alderman Markwart. Roll call.
Markwart,
Yes.
Snow,
Yes.
Noriko,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Fanouken,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carried. We have ordinance 2015-43 before us this evening, authorizing a special use permit for a fast food restaurant and drive-through, along with approval of the final plat of subdivision for the DeKalb Retail Subdivision at 1127 West Lincoln Highway, Popeyes, Louisiana Chicken. And this is before us in first reading. I'll turn to Principal Planner Highland.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you this evening, as you indicated, is the special use permit and final plat for yours and the council's consideration. This item was presented before the Planning and Zoning Commission at their September 30th meeting. 1127 West Lincoln Highway currently is a vacant building where most people remember it as the LA Tan site. It's a 1.54 acre property that's zoned general commercial. Insight Real Estate Investment Properties has acquired the property and intends to build on that property 2 separate buildings. One would be a 2,600 square foot Popeyes Chicken with a drive-through, and the other, as shown in the background material, is a 4,000 square foot commercial building. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered all elements of this request and submitted for your review and consideration tonight, approval with conditions that are highlighted in the background. So there are 4 at your seats before before this evening. The petitioner has attempted to address one of those conditions, that being number 3 regarding the landscaping plan. When this appeared before the Planning and Zoning Commission, the overall site plan that was included in the background material that went out hadn't any landscaping that surrounded the dumpster surround and enclosure. Therefore, one of the recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Commission was to soften that hardscape. And what you have at your seats tonight is an attempt to do so with the revised landscape plan. So, offered for your consideration tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
So the development plan, Derek, consists of Popeye's Chicken, 4,000 square foot retail center, and then a third parcel being a detention
That's right.
area.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, discussion from council? Questions of Derek? Seeing none, I'll ask, I'm sorry, Alderman Marquardt.
I'm just looking at it. Is it connecting into the
Kentucky Fried Chicken?
east? Yeah.
There
With
there
that
is.
drive-through going through there? Is that a drive going through?
So the site plans you have in your backup shows where that is connected. That connectivity exists today. So between their neighboring property, I believe as they did their title search, that is not shown or was not found in the title search. So that requires further exploration, but it's their intent to keep that open. And from a planning perspective, we too would like to see that. But if it hasn't been agreed to, it's plausible that at some point in time, if it hasn't been used for a period of time, it could terminate at some point in time as well. So to answer your question, yes, it shows there on the plans that they will connect, but there's nothing in there that is an easement between the 2 properties at this point.
Okay.
Alderman Snow?
Do they plan on
I'm
starting
sorry.
this fall? Or-
No, they're shooting for a next spring, beginning with the demolition and raising of the site, with construction hoping to be open by this time next year.
Alderman Baker?
I can say with certainty that I welcome this addition to the 6th Ward, and also with certainty that easement has been open and available to myself, at least, to drive through there unobstructed for over 30 years. When I came to town, it was a Mr. Steak. There's been many businesses through there, but it's always been open and a way to get out to the gas station and ultimately Annie Glidden if you needed to.
Other discussion from council? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call then.
Do we have the motion?
Oh,
If we could have a motion, please.
okay. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2015-43?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Baker.
I'll
Is there a
second.
second? Seconded by Alderman Snow. I apologize. Roll call.
Snow?
Yes.
Noriko?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Jacobson?
Yes.
Fanouken?
Yes.
Markwart?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay, motion carried, and this passed at first reading.
Mr. Mayor, would there be
Alderman
any
Fanouken.
interest in waiving?
Doesn't sound like there's a need to.
It doesn't sound
They're not
like,
going to start this fall anyway.
Okay, fine.
okay?
I'd like to propose that we waive second reading. I think they were held up long enough at the Plan Commission level.
So that's a motion to waive second reading and pass?
Yes.
At this
Second.
point. Moved by Alderman Baker, seconded by Alderman Fanouken. Discussion? I'll ask for a roll call.
Noriko?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Jacobson?
Yes.
Fanouken?
Yes.
Markwart?
Yes.
Snow?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes,
7 yes.
thank you. Motion carried. Bringing us to communications. Alderman Jacobson?
No report.
Alderman Fanouken?
No report.
Alderman Markwart?
No report.
Alderman Snow?
Just that I wish Alderman O'Leary success in whatever she decides to do in the future. So,
Thank you. Alderman Noriko?
No report.
Alderman Baker?
I do have a report. I'd like to pass this down to everyone. It's very timely, especially with, you take the top three and pass it on.
Sorry.
I've got them crisscrossed so everybody can get a set. I was fascinated at the research and what was done versus what is on the books for how we replace the alderman. And I guess my point is, it never hurts for us to look at what is on the books versus what is enforceable, what is constitutional. And in my search to understand things better, as lawmakers, we need to know the rules for passing ordinances. Looking at the Illinois statute called Votes Required, it says, "The passage of an ordinance for whatever purpose shall require the concurrence of a majority of all members then holding office on the city council, including the mayor." The votes required law goes on to say, where the council consists of an odd number of aldermen, however, the vote of the majority of the aldermen shall be sufficient to pass an ordinance. So, how many votes do we need to pass an ordinance? If there are 7 aldermen and a vote of 3 aldermen is not a majority of the 7 aldermen, 3 votes is less than half of 7, and therefore 3 is not a majority of 7 aldermen. 3 aldermen votes cannot pass an ordinance or motion or resolution under the Illinois law called Votes Required, 65 ILCS 5/3.1-40-40. Also, a vote by 4 of the 8 city council members is not a majority. 4 is only half of 8, so half is not a majority. 4 city council votes won't pass an ordinance or resolution or motion under the law called Votes Required. If a vote only counts the alderman present at the meeting rather than the alderman then holding office, in other words, if one of the 7 of us is absent from a meeting, 3 votes is still not a majority of 6 aldermen present, and 4 votes is not a majority of 8 city council members present. So I'm asking the city attorney to direct us to the law that was relied upon to enter proposed ordinance 037 upon the books as if it lawfully passed first reading with a 4-3 vote on August 24th. Knowing the rules for voting on ordinance is not a distraction, nor is it a secret. We should publicly state the law so that there are no secret rules. What law allowed a 3 aldermen to be considered a majority of 7 aldermen? That's the question. What law allowed 4 council members to be considered as a majority of 8 council members? When is the number 3 a majority of 6?
Dave, we need 3 additional copies of your handout, please.
For up here on the council bench?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Myself, Markwart, and Jacob. Thank you.
You got a full set, I didn't. Thanks, David.
Was that the end, Dave, of your comment? Thank you. Assistant City Manager,
Nothing additional.
City Attorney,
No report this evening.
City Clerk,
No report.
Deputy Chief Hoadley. Director Haley.
No report.
Deputy Chief Hoyle. Director DeVita.
There's some news I'd like to share with the council in terms of business development. Catholic Lighthouse Media has purchased the property at 733 Enterprise, and we're looking at a 4-phase expansion from them. They're going to remodel the existing space, then do a parking lot addition, and then hopefully a building addition after that. H.A. Phillips is also talking to us about a small addition. Anytime Fitness has opened. The rooming house at 1115 Annie Glidden has gone through a total remodel on the upper 2 floors, which is nice. And then we're seeing some investment in some of the existing businesses, which is great. New mechanicals and conveyor systems are being put into the Target, and a new HVAC system at Walmart. Pho and Grill opened at Glidden Crossing. Pho is a Vietnamese traditional noodle soup, and they're getting really good rave reviews on Yelp, so that's nice to have them. And then I'd like the community to know that the Building Board of Appeals will meet again this Thursday to consider the building code considerations and possible update of the code,
Excellent.
continuing their dialogue.
And then, Ellen, that update is moving from 2003
They're
building
considering
code?
the 2015 ICC, International Code Council editions, yes.
Thank you. City Engineer, Interim Public Works Director, John?
No report.
Thank you. Okay, moving to a motion for adjournment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Snow. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Noreko. Before I take a vote on that adjournment, Alderman Baker, I'll ask the city attorney to respond to your issue as he has a chance to digest the questions you've raised. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you.
Can I mention one? I'd love to entertain, and it's been 10 years since we've talked about this at the council level, the possibility of 14 aldermen, so we would have an even number. There are many communities throughout the state that have decided to do so. There's many issues that I'd like to talk about on the next agenda, like city council consideration of the pay rates for everyone, including the mayor and the city clerk, and what those duties might be. Should we go back to a larger salary for the next election?
Okay. So 2 topics you're asking is, one is the number of aldermen?
There's a lot of
Secondly, the pay
different,
rate.
yeah, the different choices
Mayor,
of the makeup of the
if I
council.
can, I think the council just moved to adjourn. I'm a little concerned about continuing a conversation with the majority of a quorum of the
If you could
aldermen.
approach me personally, I'll be glad to receive your questions, consider it for the agenda.